Welcome everybody, this is FigureEmUp. Today we're going to be doing a review over the SHFiguarts Goku Black Super Saiyan Rose. So this is a base level $35 entry figure into the SHFiguarts Dragon Ball line, or was per se, because now on the aftermarket it goes for around $40 to $55. But I want to give out to my local game shop because they had this guy at base retail price for $35. So with all that said, with some basic information over the figure, let's go ahead and take a look at the box. So on the front here, we do have the illustration of Goku Black. We have all the stickers and labels showing this is an official figure. And then the box is a little bit dented up here. That's not how it comes, but that's just how it was. So this is a little bit damaged, but it's not that big a deal because I collect the boxes, but it's not, like, you're not going to be able to see it if it's like that, you know? So it's not that big a deal. To me, anyway. But flipping it over to this side, we can see the grayscale illustrations of Goku Black here. And then on the back, as always, we do have our poses and information about the figure. And up here on the top, we do have a little wraparound of his hair and then a clear view window. And then on this side, we have the Goku Super Saiyan Rose. And then on the bottom, we do have that kind of labeling to where if you're going to stack them like this and then put another one on top of that, it just shows the name of the figure and then an illustration. So that is basically it for everything on the box. Let's go ahead and get the figure out of the packaging, and I will show you guys everything that comes in the box because there is a couple of things other than the figure that comes in here. Okay, so I've got the figure sitting up here for now, but we're going to focus on the box, and I'm going to show you guys everything that comes in here. So you do have a purple black backdrop display, and then you do have this, which I thought was pretty cool. I've never seen this in an SHFiguarts box before. It just shows like some of the figures that were in the line at the time, and then on the back it shows Premium Bandai, and then it's like just shows some of the figures they had at the time. I thought that was really cool. I'd never seen this with a figure before, but I guess where it's older and it was like more used, someone had bought this or pre-ordered it and this came in the package. If you guys know anything about this, let me know in the comments because I've never seen this before. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then you do have an instruction booklet here that just shows you how to use the accessories and everything like that. All the information about the figure. So that is everything that comes in the box. I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff back in here so I can move the box out of the way and get onto the actual figure. Okay. Now that I've got that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the actual figure. This is going to be a shorter review because there is not a lot in here. For a $35 figure, I'm not saying there should be more than this. This is a great amount and a great figure for the price, but there's just not that much. So getting a look at the figure just straight out of the box, he looks amazing. You can see some of that gorgeous like blackish, grayish, purplish shading on there. And then on like the skirt piece too, it all just looks amazing. And then with like the hair, it just looks so good to me. I don't know what it is, but this figure has some of the best shading out of any SHFiguarts Dragon Ball figure. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get on to the articulation. So head spins 360 degrees as always, does not look up that far, only looks up about that far, looks down about that far. And then for the head swivel side to side, tilts side to side about that much. For the arms, we do have 360 degrees in the shoulder. We do have a regular shoulder joint there that just goes up about that far. And then this piece right here just moves. So like if you're using the butterfly joints, which is something I'm going to talk about later, then you can take this piece and you can like move it back to make it look more flush with the figure. But anyway, the bicep swivel is 360 degrees, and then the elbows are double jointed, so you can see it moves at the top part there, and then it also moves at the part closer to the forearm. And then for the wrist, you have 360 degree rotation, and then you do have a back and forth swivel. So there is that. And then for the chest, we have forward going about that much, backward about that much, and then you do have a little bit of side to side. For the chest, like the upper chest, you do have a secret point of articulation, I like to call it, where you can take the top and you can pull it, and I'll try and get this on camera. You can pull it, and there was a little difference right there. You can see it. If you pull the figure up, then that exposes a little more of the torso, and that greatly improves the articulation on the chest. You can see how much farther I'm bending him back and forwards now, just because I've popped that out. And now, once I pop that back in, that articulation is going to be limited again. So if you're doing a statue pose where he is just standing here and doing whatever, then you can just have that chest down so it looks more flush and like scale accurate. But if you're doing a dynamic pose where you need to have that chest articulation, you can pop that out, and then you can do more of a dynamic pose with that. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the hip swivel, which is just 360 degrees. And then with the skirt piece here, it is just a basic rubber. So that does hinder the articulation of the legs just a tiny bit. It's not terrible, but I'll show you guys that now. With the legs, you have forward motion that goes about that far up. As you can see, most SHFiguarts go to about here. So that is a little disappointing that that skirt piece hinders it that much. But it does go back even less. So there's that. And then with the leg, you do have a swivel at the top here where it can rotate. And then you do have a outward split motion, and you can see those joints in there. And that is about as far as I'm willing to risk splitting him at. So that skirt piece definitely does hinder the leg articulation a little bit. But commenting on the articulation, it feels so smooth. This is one of the smoothest figures that I've felt articulation-wise. It is absolutely crazy how good the articulation on this figure feels. I'm not saying the articulation is good. It is, but it's just a basic 2.0 body, whatever. But the joints and everything feel so smooth. It feels nice to pose because it feels like a fidget toy. It doesn't even feel like an action figure. It feels like it feels like you're not even using an action figure. That's the best way I can explain it. With the knee joints, though, you do have a 2-point swivel with the basic 2.0 articulation. And then on the bottom here, you have 360 degree with the feet. And then you can go down that far, up that far. And then you do have a side to side that far and that far. And then finally, for the toes, as always, you do have an up motion and you do not have a down motion. You can't get those toes to go down. So that is basically it for articulation. With all that, let's go ahead and move on to some of these accessories. Okay, I've moved the figure and the top of the clamshell out of the way so we can get a better look at these accessories and what they have to offer. So let's start off with faceplates. We do have a smirking faceplate, and that does have one of the Patara earrings on the ear. Looks very nice, well painted. We have a screaming faceplate. Also looks very nice. The inside of the mouth is sculpted. Looks very good. Everything's painted on well. And then for the kind of angry looking that way, like gritting teeth faceplate. So there is that. And then they all have the Patara earring. So everything with the faceplates looks good. No complaints there. 3 is a standard amount for a $35 figure. So absolutely no complaints there. That's great. I love that. But let's move on to something I don't like so much. The hand selection. If you've seen my review on the Demoniacal Fit Goku Black, you know that he comes with so many hands that it's hard to decipher which hand is what. There are so many poses that it's just so hard to decipher which hand is what. So obviously he does come with those two grabbing hands, and then he does have the, come on camera focus, he does have the time ring on that finger right there. My camera will focus, come on. Okay, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that. He does have the time ring on that finger right there. And that's with all the other hands. It's only one hand, so you only get it on one hand. And then next we do have the kind of snake dragon pose, 2-finger thumb pose. I don't even know what it's called. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what this is called. I'm gonna have to look this up because I have zero idea. So he does have the time ring on this hand too. Very well sculpted. Everything looks nice. And then with the final hand, notice how I said hand, not hands. You do have a instant transmission hand. And this is only for the hand that has the ring on it. So that's something I wish they would have done better, is given us 2 of these instead of just the 1. But, you know, it's a $35 figure. You can't be complaining too much. So that is basically, that's not just basically, that's everything for this figure. Let me go ahead and grab him actually, because there is a couple things I left out. He does have a base faceplate on right now, which is just an angry kind of frowning first faceplate. And then he does have the basic SHFiguarts fists, which also does have that time ring on one hand. So that is basically all of the accessories for the figure. I'm going to cut away and we will go to the final reviews and everything else I have to say. So honestly, for the price tag, $35, retail price tag, this guy is worth it. Just because of the amount of shading and how good the articulation feels, at least on my figure, and just the sculpting and everything, it all feels really well done. It feels high quality. But if you're paying $55 to $60 for this guy, I wouldn't pick him up. That's just because it's not worth it for what comes in the box. It's a good figure. It's a really good figure. For $35, it's a great figure. But just for what the figure comes with and what the figure is at its base value, I wouldn't pay more than $40 for it. Anything more than that, and you're kind of getting scammed. So that's just my opinions, but who am I to say? I'm going to go ahead and do an outro here. So this has been FigureEmUp. If you guys like this sort of content, make sure to like, subscribe. It helps me out. It helps me grow, get on the For You page. That's basically it. This is a great figure, especially for that $35 price tag. Shout out to my local game store once again. That is a great thing that you guys are doing. This has been FigureEmUp, and I'll see you guys in another video.